know how you like your advice on managing classes right now as applying for jobs, interviews, how you balanced it.
Yeah, that's really hard, and I remember feeling that way that last semester. My best advice was, I'm sure y'all have heard this, to be very on top of knowing when applications open because they will close very quickly. And so I tried in advance to, I would write in my planner the days that I knew the application was opening and try to have my application ready to go so that the second it opened, I could just submit it and be done. And so I would say being on top of all of that is definitely should be your best approach. Don't try to start the application or start your cover letter the day that the application opens.
Okay, I'm a nursing major, but I have a question just about general letters of recommendation. I know Brent was saying he applied like 10 at a time, and then Gibson was saying that you should have it prepared already. So when we have a letter of recommendation, do we ask that person for a blanket letter? Do we ask them for a specific hospital? Or how do we go about that?
For nursing, I'm trying to think what it is so I give you the answer. I got blanket letters because, well, and I was applying for all the same positions. You know, you apply with each hospital system and you pick your units that you want and your top 3 hospitals that you want, and then you find out, you know, so it's pretty much I was applying for the same positions. And your nursing professors, your clinical instructors, they all know how it works, you know, and so their blanket letters work for all the different jobs that you're applying for. If you're applying for different types of positions, if you think, I'm not sure if I want to do clinic or hospital or work for a nonprofit, then I would say you need more specific letters. At least for nursing, I don't want to speak for everyone here, but for nursing, that's what I did.
I also just did blanket ones because I tried to think about the people who were writing them for me. I'm sure they wouldn't mind, but I didn't want to have to ask them, you know, to do a specific one for one job and then no one for another. So I did blanket ones as well.
What is important to find out about the hospital before you get a job there? What questions do we need to be asking that maybe we haven't been taught in school to ask?
One of the things that I found extremely helpful and was really grateful that I did was asking how they choose who your preceptors are going to be. The effort that they put into training the people who are going to train you will make a huge difference. And the program that I was in, my preceptors had to apply, they had to go through training, and I had a much better experience than my peers who were just paired with a random person who was forced to train the new grads. So I would definitely say ask about that. I would look into the quality indicators. I know with last semester you kind of start learning about the different like HCAPs, and I mean that's all how hospitals are funded now. So you want to make sure that their quality indicators are high, or else your hospital is not going to be funded. Yeah, and you can find out all that online. You can see, I mean it's public knowledge. You can see how well they're rated, and just to mention like. I notice y'all are doing really well with urinary tract infections and stuff like that. Like you're like, the levels are really low. And so it makes a difference to know, just for them to see that you've done your research.
Do you have any advice for us nurses going into the workforce that perhaps set you apart from the rest of the other nursing schools? Like, for example, specifically to TCU, like what it was the transmitted business of our program in the actual workforce?
First of all, having a bachelor's degree is going to set you apart, but there are a handful of other schools in the Metroplex that offer bachelor's degrees in nursing. But I think that TCU does a really great job of preparing you to be more than just a bedside nurse. I think even starting out in my nursing career, I think about more than just the average bedside nurse, and you're going to be prepared for management roles, supervisor roles, research, graduate degrees. So just making it apparent that, you have that mindset that you're thinking about more than just how do I take care of my patient. but how do I make this hospital successful as a healthcare industry and as a business? It's going to set you apart, and I think that TCU does a good job preparing you for that.
I'd like the entire panel to answer it as how it will relate to your respective field. Gibson, what has been the greatest challenge that you faced in your transition from a graduate nurse to a practicing nurse, be it expected or unexpected? And how did you respond to that challenge?
I was just thinking about this the other day. I was not nearly prepared enough for as much constructive criticism as I received. I think I was a really good nursing student, and so I was on point as a nursing student, and then you get to be an actual nurse, and you get constructive criticism on the reg, like all day, every day, because it's important. I mean, if you make a mistake, you need to know it so that you don't do it again. So I would just say your ability to, I really had to adjust my mind frame of, I'm not getting constructive criticism because I'm not good at this. It's because I'm learning, and I'm learning a lot. And so I had to adjust my mind frame. And there's another one I was going to tell you too. Oh, your ability to ask, to admit when you don't know the answer, because once again, very important. I mean, these are like all of a sudden you're responsible for somebody's life, and there's not a preceptor or a nurse above you who, not necessarily you can blame, but whose license is at stake. Like, it's now your license. So being able to admit when you don't know, asking questions, clarifying, those are all very important things.